Blue Dog Films presents Paid to Dream with Charles Dennis.
Yes, it's Paid to Dream. We're back again. I hope you're all dreaming, because what is life without dreams, correct? And we have a very, very special dreamer today. His name is Bryan Cranston, and I've known him for 35, 36 years, whatever it is now. And there he is.
Hello.
Folks. Hello.
How are you, Charles?
I'm very well. We had coffee last week, and I discussed Jim Meskimen with you, who was my guest yesterday. And
He's a very funny guy.
very, very, very funny, very talented man. At the time when we had coffee, I'd looked on YouTube, and I didn't think his impersonation of you was up to snuff. And so he then explained, he's so technical. So he said, get ready for this. When Bryan Cranston talks, he doesn't really ever put his teeth together. He says, I'm a signature sound. I know it's not a rictus. For me, it's a stiffening of the jaw. That's what he has to do in order to do you. So go no.
Gosh, I wouldn't have thought that.
And then Ulrika and I had been watching a bunch of Redford movies, and I asked him, I've never seen anyone do Redford. He said he did it a couple of times. He said, I'll put him in the same place as Bryan Cranston. He has a deep, masculine voice, a normal man's voice. So there you go.
Deep, masculine, and normal.
Wow. You fooled them again. Do you know of anyone else who has done impressions of you?
No, that was the first. I saw a video of him doing a bunch of them, and mine was one of them. And, to the person who they're doing, it never sounds like you anyway. It's like, but
Right.
I recognize the other impressions that he does. It's very curious. I'd like to hear him do me again. It was just a little clip of.
Well, I haven't uploaded the episode. I'll let you know when it'll be up later this week, because you don't have him as a guest. You have 15 other people.
Yeah.
And then suddenly, and there we were doing, I did my Gable, which I don't, and as we said, well, who cares if you can do Clark Gable today? It's.
I know.
If you're under 50, nobody cares. He did do a wonderful Gene Hackman, which I said, I miss him. Can you do him? And it's a science with him.
Yeah. Those, the ones that are easier to do are the ones that have, big personalities, Christopher Walken and people like that. William Shatner, that you can, with a hesitation, that sort of thing,
I was wondering with him, does he remember the next line? He's found a way to.
Yeah. One line must connect him to the next one. Yeah.
Do you remember Chief Dan George?
No.
He was a native actor from Canada. He was you'd know him from Little Big Man.
Okay.
And he came down here, but he'd started off making films for Disney up there, and a friend of mine, George Bloomfield, directed him in a play, and it was his Chief Dan's first play. And he had this moment where he would say the line, and then there was this pause that seemed to hold forever, and it was and the audience was riveted. And George finally said afterwards, I know you've had no training as an actor. How did you know to do this? He said, George, I cannot remember that line for the life of me.
I love it when it's just a mistake, but it seems so amazingly perfect for the dramatic scene.
Yeah.
I remember once I was on. I think it was Conan O'Brien's show. It might have been something else, but anyway, This is a couple of years ago, and somehow someone said, "Oh yeah, I hear you do a couple impressions." And I didn't talk about this in the pre-interview with the producer of that show, and it was like, "Oh, well, I mean, I goof around with some, but I don't." He goes, "Who can you do someone?" And I'm like, "Oh my God, now I'm on the spot." And so I said, "Well, what about Johnny Carson?" And of course, Conan go, "Oh yeah, Johnny Carson." And so I went into my Johnny Carson.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Son, Ed is drinking Budweiser from his Alpo bowl. Ed, get up off the floor there. No, I did not. I did not know that. So I'm doing that. The things that I remember from watching him over and over and over as a kid. But the audience was nothing. His audience was well under, is 40 or under. They didn't remember who Carson was. And so, so I'm dying on there. And in fact, I think it was Conan who said, "You see, kids, but years ago there was the king of late night was a man named Johnny Carson," as a fun thing, and I was laughing and because it just got no reaction whatsoever. You age out.
Yeah, it's sad. It's sad. Um, After we had coffee, um, that night, Ulrika and I watched a movie that's only, what, 2 years old, with you and Annette Bening, called Jerry and Marge Go Live. It was wonderful.
Oh, thank you.
It just, once again, you disappeared into this character, but did it do well? Did people go to see this movie? What does it matter? It's there. It's there
Yeah.
on streaming. So,
Um,
you know,
this was Jerry and Marge Go Large.
yeah,
Was the first movie that I did after the lockdown in COVID, and
right.
I think everybody was so sequestered and so tightly wound in their little cocoons that I wanted something that was more community based and opened up and friendly and more, I don't know, just convivial. And so one of these scripts came in, and I kept reading them, and I found this one as an offer, and it's based on a true story
Yeah.
about a guy who worked for Kellogg for maybe 20 years, as you saw there, and 65 years old, and he's shown the door. Thank you very much. Have a good retirement. He doesn't know what to do with himself, and he
I love the
discovers,
boat.
yeah,
The
yeah,
kid.
yeah. Well, there's all kinds of things that he's trying to engage in retirement, but he's not very good at it until he discovers when he's having coffee at a friend's little gas station selling coffee and milk and things like that. And they also sell lottery tickets. And he discovers there's a flaw in the math for this particular game. And I won't go into it any more than that, based on
No,
a
no.
true story. But he dives in because he's got this really incredible mathematical mind. And he figures out the flaw, and he starts playing with everyone in his little town in Michigan, and they win. And so it's almost a rekindling of this married life. And of course, Annette Bening is a lovely and wonderful actor. And it was fun to play with her. It was just sweet. Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, Jerry and Marge Go
It's
Large.
Elise, she said it's such a nice movie. It's a feel good movie, and there
Yeah,
aren't many of those.
yeah, and that's what I was looking for. I wanted a feel good movie coming out of COVID, and that did it for me.
And before we dive into you, because I promised you we weren't, if you want to know about Bryan Cranston's first couple of decades, go to the Pay to Dream retro interview I did with him when he was doing the show in New Mexico, Breaking Bad. Boing. It's all there, folks. But I said to Brian, I really want to talk about your theater work. But before we do that, let us talk about your daughter, Taylor Dearden, and this extraordinary creature that she has
Oh,
created on
yeah.
the pit.
Yeah, we think about this and you realize that children of actors becoming actors themselves is probably one of the most natural progressions there is. Almost everyone, the great majority, I don't say almost everyone, the great majority of people in the world go into the family business, whether you're a fisherman or a baker or a construction worker or farmer or whatever. Basically, this is what you know and you go into it. And so it's not that uncommon to see children of actors go becoming actors. But Taylor uh, found the love of it long ago, and that's what I always tell young actors: you've got to fall in love and be committed and dedicated to it like it's a relationship, like your personal relationship. Because when it gets hard, and it will, you stick to it. You find the way to navigate yourself through it to be able to retain that love. It takes nurturing, like a personal relationship. So she caught on to it, and we kept her away from the professional world of it, but she kept pushing through, and finally went through to USC theater major, and graduated from there, and started her career, and now as Dr. Mel King on the pit, her mom and I are just so we're quelling. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
it's such a beautiful thing to watch, and to see your child be praised by others is the greatest feeling.
And she's been nominated for an Emmy.
Yes, yes, she's nominated for an Emmy. That's so we're very excited for her.
How is she reacting to that?
Well, like you'd hope she'd react to it, like, oh my God, and then moments of, oh my God, I can't believe I was nominated for. And excited, and a little freaked out at times. But then, like all of us, you just go back into the work. Um, these are byproducts of what we love to do. If you get tapped on the shoulder, as I like to describe it, and someone says, we'd like to nominate you for this or that, that's that's the cherry on top of the sundae. It's not the sundae. The Sunday for us is actually doing the work and
Yeah.
feeling empowered by being able to change people emotionally watching what you do. It's just the most impactful thing that we as performers can have.
I started on the radio when I was 8. So theater came a little bit later at school because of my background as an actor at the age of 8. They did their first ever show. It was Peter Pan. I was Captain Hook, and then I did the show every year. And then when I was 16, I went into professional theater. When did you first go on stage?
My first performance for the public was in my garage.
Ah!
I must have been I must have been around 8 as well.
Oh,
And my brother wrote and directed a thing called the Life and Times of Frank and Jesse James, or something like that. It was about Frank and Jesse James. And it's my neighbor, Howard Burrell, who is now my accountant. I'm not kidding. It's a true story. Um, he played he played Jesse James because he was a little younger and a little smaller than me, and then I was the older brother, Frank, and we and we had standing room only in our driveway watching. We charged a nickel, I think, to the kids, but we
charge!
gave we charged, but we gave them popsicles, if they came, so that was my first experience, and as an 8-year old, as you know, standing there, and doing something, saying something that gets a laugh or makes people go gasp or sigh or cringe or whatever. That is an amazing experience for anyone to be able to say they've had that feeling before. And to those of us who can't get enough of that feeling of empowerment, that maybe you get lucky and maybe you have a career of doing it. But it's not only that we get to perform and tell these stories. It's because we're there because we want to be told the stories as well. We're theater goers ourselves. I know you are as well, and we go and we experience those things, and because that's the sweet thing about human beings is that you could be 2 or 92 and you still want to be told a story. You want to hold off on your belief. You realize you're in a theater or you're listening to something, and it's the most glorious thing, and it's sweet and it's vulnerable, and every human being, I believe, has that.
Well put. Well put. I forget who said it to me, but it's true. When you're on stage, you have a partnership, and your partner is the audience, and
It's very true.
it's very delicate, that relationship.
And I believe that it's almost like the ocean. There's an ebb and flow relationship with it. You send out this information and they tell you how they're reacting to it by sending back that feeling, and then you recalibrate and send out more information, and they take that in and send their reaction back to you, and it's kind of this ebb and flow that goes through the storyline. And but I really do believe this, and I talk to the companies that I work in. I say, it's our responsibility to tell this story, and we may have told this story already 100 performances,
Mm-hmm.
but these people out here have not seen it yet, and they've paid money to sit in those seats, and we get paid to tell this story. So it's our responsibility and obligation to be able to tell the best story we possibly can every single time. And that's the challenge, for you not to sit back on your heels and go, I know this play so much, I can be thinking of something else and saying the lines. That's not it. It's keep leaning forward, keep telling that story, keep enticing that audience to follow along and be entertained.
It's. I remember when I was doing my play Going On in Edinburgh, and one day I just thought they hate the show. They're not laughing. They're not laughing, and my partner was producer said they're loving it. I said, why aren't they laughing? I said, they're not laughers, but they're really into it, and it's you.
And did you
Once
feel that
you
at the
become
end of
aware of them, you're dead. So, but you also have to.
yeah, at the end of that performance, did they give you a nice ovation
Yes,
they
yes,
and you
yes.
realized, oh, he was right. They
Yeah,
were
they
listening.
weren't sitting on their hands. You
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
So
I
what
like
was? Yeah.
the difference between like a London audience and a New York audience. Um, I'm dismayed by what's happened in New York a bit because the standing ovation seems to become an obligatory thing for all audiences, regardless of the show, regardless of the merit of the show. You're standing up and you're applauding, and it's like they don't do that in London. Uh, they can there's three versions of ovation in London: the polite applause, then they do an over the head applause
Mm-hmm.
if they really like it, and if they love it, they stand up. And I prefer that. I prefer them giving me an honest assessment of how we did that night.
So what was your professional stage debut?
It was I guess you can say it was summer stock in Florida. I was 21 years old, 22 years old, 21, I think. And yeah, we did a summer of Two Gentlemen of Verona, Damn Yankees. Um, oh boy, um, I'll think of it. But yeah, a few others, and of course, you're in all of them to varying degrees. Sometimes you have a better role than others. Sometimes you're just the background person, and in those days and at that level, which was very very small, um, you're doing everything. You as soon as the show is done, you have to strike that set and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
build the next set for the matinee tomorrow. And then after that matinee is done, you don't get the rest. You got to strike that set and put up the next set. It's like it's all encompassing. But of course, you're 21 years old, so you have the energy, and you're being paid, albeit very little, but you're being paid to perform as an actor, and it's like that's the best feeling in the world that you're actually being paid to do something that you love to do and would do for free.
Yeah, that's the deal. I'm always, whether it's a book, acting, voiceover, I'm always amazed when I get a check. I don't want to tell. I'd have done this for nothing.
Yeah,
But no, it's nice to get the money. Thank you very much.
yeah.
I remember the
I think
first. Go on.
I was going to say I think that's the most important thing for young actors to keep in mind is that do not ever feel that you're irreplaceable. Is that be humble, be appreciative, show up on time, do your work, come in with ideas, be kind and respectful to others. And if you do all of that and you have talent, you just might have a career.
Might.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's.
So it's a tough one.
Yeah. The first time I saw you on stage was here in L.A. in a play that was written for you called The Wheel.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That was interesting. It was a
And
fun
Robin,
play.
Robin Dearden, your
And
wife, was in it with you.
right. As were two friends of mine, Callan White and Kelly Hinman. And it was four one acts that were put together and had a relationship to each other. And it was written by a dear old friend of mine named Barbara Bishop, who wrote this as a wedding present to Robin and I. And that's how we got it. And then what a unique present. And we then found a time to mount it a couple of years after we got married. And it was a great experience.
So when I saw it, was that the initial production or was it a second production?
No, I think that was the only time we did it.
On
Was that
Melrose,
one?
somewhere on Melrose, as I recall.
It was actually on Pico in Los Angeles. Yeah,
It was in East West Street. I got that right.
yeah, yeah.
So, so then after that play, there was quite a gap until, if I'm not mistaken, you made your Broadway debut.
No, I did. I did several. I did a couple play. Well, I did a play at the Geffen Theater, a really beautiful local theater in Westwood, California, right in the LA pocket there, and that was directed by my friend Jason Alexander, who it was called The God of Hell,
That's
and
right. I
it
was
was a Sam Shepard play.
yeah.
Not a great play, but boy, it sure got attention. Jason did a hell of a job directing that, and that was fun to do. That was right after the end of Malcolm in the Middle's run, and just before the beginning of Breaking Bad. So the pocket of it couldn't have been more perfect.
Then I saw you at the Geffen in a lovely play that I was hoping would go on called Power of Sale.
Yeah, that was a couple of years ago, now 4 years ago that we did that, and a good play. Really, really good play. And we had a good run and a great company at the Geffen Theater. And we were hoping that maybe it could go on. certain things didn't fall our way as far as putting that together, and it didn't go on, which is a very, very common story, as you well know. That there could be a lot of people interested, and they're building a way to make a production go on, and then something falls apart, and because that fell apart, well, then this is now falling apart, and someone's delayed, and they can't do it right now, and it's like it's it's um it's always a battle. It's a struggle. There, what people may not realize watching this is that the part of the two-word show business is truly that combined efforts. There's a business entity to it that not all of us in on the performing end are very good at, but we need. It's a very strange bedfellow to the showmanship and the business end of it coming together somehow, some way, and making it work and beneficial for both sides, because it's a symbiotic relationship. We need them and they need us, and so but we don't really understand each other, and so it's a little bit of of a of an experience where you're not quite sure how to speak to them or how they put things together, and you just have to hope that it does come.
So, All the Way was your Broadway debut, yes?
Yes, all the way.
Yes.
Yeah, back in 2014.
LBJ.
Wow, that was a great play. Robert Schenken wrote it. Bill Rausch directed it, and it was a beautiful play. Playing Lyndon Johnson, who was his personality was bigger than life, and I adored playing that guy, and had the privilege of meeting his daughters and speechwriters and his lawyers and people who worked for him, Bill Moyers being one of them, and telling them, I just want to get the essence of him. I'm not going to do an impersonation of him, but I want you all to feel that I did a respectful job of capturing the man's personality and essence and soul. And I'm starting to work on it, and I realized, you know what, you have to have that Texas drawl in order to do, because he was so well known for that. But yeah, we did that on Broadway for 7 months, 8 performances a week. It destroyed me as far as my energy. It was, oh my God, it's a crushing experience. But when you're on stage doing it, you're filled with life and energy, and it's fantastic. And then the curtain goes down, and you go, ah. But yeah, it was fun.
And then you filmed it for HBO.
Right. Yeah.
So
It's available now, I think. Yeah, for on HBO.
oh, yes, it is. But what was the difference? I mean, did you have to pull the performance down?
Well, I suppose I did. Jay Roach directed the film version of it and did a beautiful job. And I listened to him and perhaps instinctively knew that for film performances, you can't be as expressive as you are on stage, because on stage in New York we had 1,400 seats at the Neil Simon Theater, and it's a long way back to that third balcony in the back. You want to be able to see them, keep your head up, and hit those people back there so they don't feel that they're excluded from the storytelling. You don't do that in film work, so you had to really bring it all down. But I had every day I had 3.5 hours of makeup, prosthetic makeup, to make me look as close to Lyndon Johnson as we possibly could.
For the movie.
Yeah.
And what about when you did the play? You did your own makeup in the dressing room?
I did my own makeup in the dressing room, including LBJ had very long ears, very big ears. He was kind of known for that as well. So I got them to make me an eardrop, like as if as if this part of the ear was dropped even further. So I glued on little drop eardrops that really extended the look of my ears, and it helped. And then the glasses, and we didn't do too much because it would have been a lot of work and a special makeup to be able to pull that off. So we waited for the HBO movie to come through.
I remember seeing Robert Morse do Truman Capote in a one-man show, and he had that whole rubber mask, and then he came out for the curtain call, and he ripped it off, and I went, "What? No, what is that all about?"
I guess he wanted the audience to see that he's not that guy, that he was
It's like
that
playing
was a
Cyrano. I don't know of any actor who played Cyrano who went out for a curtain call and took the nose off. You take the bow for what you did. I don't.
Yeah, yeah,
And then you went back to Broadway again with Network,
yeah.
and that I would have to think was a totally different theatrical experience for you than the more conventional plays that you had been in. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, we that was directed by Ivo van Hove. Um, the original movie is beloved movie classic, written by Paddy Chayefsky and directed by Sidney Lumet. And this was the theatrical iteration of it for the National Theatre in London. And I had a great time. Of course, what I realized from doing LBJ and doing Howard Beale from Network, and everyone since, is that I really am attracted to characters who are broken men, who are they've failed in some moral way, um, and I guess it gives me the most to play with, or maybe I relate to it better. I'm not sure, but it's also I like playing kind of the common man. I like playing the common man. I think I relate to that better than anything, more than a huge power broker kind of guy. And certainly, you could argue that LBJ was a power broker man, but the truth is he came from very, very humble beginnings and dirt floors and things like that, and worked his way up. So a self-made man. But we took Network from a really extraordinarily great run in London to New York in 2018 and to 19. And we had a terrific run there as well. And, it's just, to be able to sink your teeth into juicy characters like Howard Beale. What a gift.
And then back to London again last year, or this
Yeah.
year, with Arthur Miller's All My Sons. And there's a broken man, if ever there was one.
Yeah. Arthur Miller knows how to write broken people.
Oh,
He really does. It's a beautiful play, and I probably my favorite of Arthur Miller's. And I couldn't resist when the offer came up, and because it was to work with Evo again, and so we had a wonderful experience doing that at the Wyndham's Theater for 4 months. Um, and it's just, with a great company. And what's interesting, Charles, is that perhaps it's an age related thing, but the older I get, the more important it is that the experience around the play is as rewarding as doing the play. I want to look forward to coming to the theater and seeing these new friends, and then maybe having a drink with them or going to dinner with them on an off night, and really socializing and meeting them and getting that's really important to me now. I want to have a good experience on stage and off. And we did, once again, a really terrific company, talented, and great group of people, and that's what I look for. Those experiences.
We went over a little, but that's okay. You're worth it. This has been Paid to Dream. That guy there is Bryan Cranston. I love him dearly. And we will hear from him again, I promise you. If you like the show, click like, subscribe. Bye-bye.
Have a dream. Thanks, Charles.
Thank you.